Hope everyone is clear with receive input from keyboard. The next is creating variables and assigning values to variables. Okay, so before we start creating a variables, let me just tell you what is a variable. Okay, variables are a named location where you can store information, right? See, we use boxes to store things, right? So variables are a lot like boxes, and just like boxes, they store things, and what they store is information, and we can think of this information as values. Okay, so what are values? Well, in Scratch there are two types. The first type of value is numbers. Okay, you can store any numbers as a variable. Second type of value that you can store as a variable is text. You can store things like your name, as sentences, etc. Hope you're clear. Now, see, Tejas will do the creating values. Tejas also runs the same program. Okay, the same program. Okay, to enter his name. Now his name is displayed in the stage area. Then Tejas asks Mose, what happens to the input entered by Jyoti? Okay, is it lost? So Mose told him yes. Mose said yes, it is lost. When the instructions are run, okay, when these instructions are run, each new input replaces the previous one stored in answer. Okay, when the instructions run, okay, each new input, it will replace the previous one stored in answers. So Jyoti said, I wish the computer can save the answer somewhere. So Mose said, sure it can. Computer can save the answer. So check out the data blocks. So when they clicked on data, okay, they got this make a variable options. So Tejas and Jyoti, they create variables called name and age. They have created two variables called name and age. So how to create a variable? You have to click on make a variable button. Okay, when you click, you will get this dialog box. So they have made two variables, name and age. Now to create the first variable name, in the variable name you just have to type their name. Okay, and you will get these two options, for all sprites and for these sprites only. If you select for all sprites, it will create a variable, it will create a new variable that all sprites can see. And if you click on these options for these sprites only, if you create a variable for a sprites for these sprites only, it will create a new variables that only these sprites can see. Okay, so they have made two variables called name and age. Clear? See, a variable is created by naming a memory area, all right, to store a number or string. So what is string? Letters, words, or sentences, okay, are called strings in computer language. All right. Now variables in Scratch, remember these 2 points. Variable in Scratch can be created using data blocks, right? And a variable can be created such that either one of the sprites can use it or all the sprites can use it. Next, let's learn about assigning values to a variable. See, they just ask Mose, can we store a word? Okay, in this variable, in this name and age variable, can we store a word? So Mose said yes. Now when a word is saved in a variable, okay, when a word is saved in a variable, it is called string variable. Alright, so Jyoti said, I want to save the answer, this answer, in the string variable name. Alright, so Mose told them, check out the help for answer. Okay, check out the help for these answer instructions under the sensing block. Now if you want to save the current answers, you can store in a variable. So Scratch allows you to store the data in answers in a variable that you have already created. Alright? Okay, now let's see how they store a value in a variables. Okay, so when green flag clicked, okay, when we clicked on this green flag, the sprite will ask what's your name and wait. Okay, after you type your name, the sprite will say your name for 2 seconds. Okay, whatever name you have entered, it will be saved in answers instructions, right? This answers instruction stores the keyboard input, right? So the sprite cat will say answer for 2 seconds. Now to store a value in a variable, remember we use this set block. Okay, so they insert the set blocks and they want to save this answer in the variable called name. Okay, so set name to what you're going to store, answers. Next, again the sprite will ask what's your age and weight. Okay, after you type your age, the sprite will say the age for 2 seconds and it will be saved in the variable called age. Your answer will be saved in the variable called age. Okay, I hope you're clear. Okay, next let's do using operators for a specific action. Okay, so operators. Okay, operators are symbols that represent specific actions. For example, a plus sign, okay, is an operator that represents additions, or minus signs that represents operators. Okay, sorry, minus sign that represents subtractions. Okay, now let's see what they just said. They just said, suppose the name type is Jyoti and I want to say hello Jyoti, how do I get this? Okay, now suppose, okay, the name he typed is Jyoti, like what's your name and wait, right? The sprite will ask what's your name and he typed there Jyoti. Okay, suppose the name type is Jyoti, but he wants the sprite to say hello world. But according to these instructions, just for example, okay, say name, right? So the sprite will say only the name Jyoti for 2 seconds, right? So how do I get this? How can I make the sprite say hello Jyoti? Okay, so most told them you want to join 2 words, right? Hello 1 word, Jyoti 1 word. So you want to join 2 words and you want to display it. See, join, okay, is a string operators. All right, this is the join instructions. With this is a string operators which you will get in operators block. Okay, so check out these instructions in operator block. So this is the operator block. Okay, now if he wants the sprite cat to say hello Jyoti, all right, so over here is, okay, in answer and say instructions, you have to insert this join instructions. Okay, after you insert, all right, you have to type your hello in the first slot and in the second slot. Okay, let me explain from here. Hello, okay, the sprite will say hello, but your name, right, is saved in answer instructions, right? So over here you will write hello and in the next slot you will write you will put this answer instructions. Okay, so that means when you type your name Jyoti, the sprite will say hello Jyoti for 2 seconds. I hope you are clear. Now most told them to check out the operator blocks, right? So Jyoti checks the help, okay, for strings operators join. Now she add the join instructions to her Scratch programs and execute it. See, okay, so let me explain you. When green flag clicked, when we clicked on this green flag, the sprite will ask what's your name and wait, and then she will type the name Jyoti. The sprite will say Jyoti for 2 seconds. Okay, next this, see, we want to save to store the value, okay, in a variable. We use set blocks, right? So click on set. Okay, we will store these answers, okay, in the variable called name. Okay, so set name to answers. What we are going to store? Answers. Okay, so next, after we store in the variable, the sprite will say we have used the operators join. Okay, the sprite will say hello. Now where did you save your name? In the answer instructions, and this answer instructions is in the variable called name, right? So what you have to do, you have to click on the data blocks. Okay, from there you have to select click and drag this name, okay, and put it in the second slot of join. Okay, so say hello, the sprite will say hello Jyoti for 10 seconds. All right, next the cat will ask again what's your age and weight, and then after you type your age, the cat will say your age for 2 seconds, and that answer will be stored in the variable called age. I hope you are clear. After they tried the join instructions in their programs, they just say to most, okay, how do we compare strings? Okay, strings means what? Letters, right? Sentences, words are called strings. Okay, so how do we compare strings? We will need it for our projects to compare the user's answer with ours. So most ask, okay, how do you compare if 2 numbers are equal? Then Jyoti told, using equal operators we compare 2 numbers, right? So most told them you can compare strings for equality also, just like numbers. Where do you find the comparisons instructions? So Tejas said we will find it in the operators block. Okay, for comparisons also you will find it in operator blocks. Okay, say joined, or for comparisons, or for additions, subtractions, all this you will get in the operators block. Okay, now Tejas and Jyoti, okay, they write this following blocks, okay, to see how operators, okay, how these operators and this conditional statements, this is a printing mistake, okay, it will be conditional statements can be used. All right, see, conditional statements, if, okay, and if else. This statement, if and if else in the control block are used to check for a condition. Okay, and if the condition is true, okay, if the condition is true, the set of instructions after if are executed. The instructions after if, okay, are executed. Otherwise, the set of instructions after else are executed. Otherwise, the set of instructions after else are executed. Okay, so conditional statement have slots that are shaped with points, okay, on either side, right, which evaluate to a true or false value and execute if the statement is true. And this instructions are found in control block. See, if over here conditioned will be checked, okay, condition to be checked, and here commands to be executed if the condition is true, else commands to be executed if the condition is false. Okay, now let's see how operators and conditional statement are used. Okay, so this is the script for the sprite cat, and this is the script for the sprite football, and this is the script for the sprite basketball. Okay, see how many sprites are there on the stage? 3 sprites, right? Basketball, football, sprite. And how many variables are there? 2 variables called game 1 and game 2. Okay, so this is the script for the sprite cat, this is the script for the sprite football, and this is the script for the sprite basketball. Right? Now let me explain you the steps, okay, of your script. Let me explain you the script. First, let's learn the script of Cat Sprite. So when green flag clicked, the Cat Sprite will ask you to enter game 1 and wait. Okay, now suppose you have entered the game as football, right? So this football will be saved in answer instructions, right? Now this answer instructions, they store in the variable called game 1. Okay, so set game 1 to what you're going to store, the answer. So insert the answer instructions. Now broadcast. Okay, this broadcast you have learned in grade 4, remember? See, broadcast send a message to all the sprites. Okay, this is useful if you want to tell other sprites when to do something. And what do you want them to do when they receive the message? We use these instructions when I receive. Okay, see, in Scratch, okay, the instruction broadcast and when I receive enable us to coordinate the actions of multiple sprites. All right, so when the cat broadcasts game 1, which is football, we have entered the game as football, right? When I receive game 1, when I broadcast game 1 and wait, so this is the script for the football sprites. Okay, so the football, okay, when I receive football, okay, if this is the what, equal operators, right, comparisons operators. So if game 1 is equal to football, we have entered game 1 in the first game, right? So if game 1 is equal to football, then the football sprite will say I am game 1 for 2 seconds. Okay, and let's see, after the first broadcast, the sprite cat will ask you enter game 2 and wait. Okay, after you type the game 2, suppose you have typed your basketball, set and saved it in the variable called game 2. Okay, set game 2 to answers, whatever you have typed, okay, that is saved in the answers. So this answer is stored in the variable called game 2. So set game 2 to answer. After that, the cat sprite will broadcast game 2 and wait. Now when I receive, this is the script for the basketball sprite. Okay, so when I receive basketball, if game 2 is equal to basketball, then the sprite basketball will say I am game 2 for 2 seconds. All right, are you clear up to here? Now if game 1 is equal to game 2, Okay, for example, you have entered football in game 1 and you have entered the second game also as football. So if game 1 is equal to game 2, then the sprite cat will say duplicate selections of games, invalid combinations for 5 seconds. Hope you're clear with the script. Now let's see what Moss said. Okay, Moss told Tejas and Jyoti, explore the other string operators too. Okay, these are all string operators. Okay, which you will get in, these are all string operators. These are called string operators. Okay, you will get this instructions in the operator blocks. Alright, so explore the other string operators too. You may get some more ideas to show comparison. So Tejas and Jyoti explore some string operators. These are the string operators they explore. Okay, see, joined. Okay, it combines the string we have already used in our program, right? Next, length of. This length of instructions, it reports a number of letters in a string. Okay, and the third one, letter of. It will report the letter at the specified position in a string. Okay, now I hope you all are clear. So that's all for today. See you all in the next class. Have a great day.